Welcome anyone to my YouTube channel. This is Everett, aka 2Beast2Kill, aka the Beast with the Least. And now that Call of Duty's been out for a little under 2 weeks, and Battlefield 6 has been out for a month or so, I wanted to talk about both video games in the, which one is better or which one should you choose kind of thing that all the YouTubers are doing for those sweet, clicks. Before we get into that, let's go ahead and hit that intro. Alright. As always, you like what I do on this channel, you like my podcast, all that stupid shit I do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Do the things. Alright. Let's get into the topic of the video. And right off the bat, I already have a disappointing answer for the people who want to know maybe if they're going to use this video as which game should I choose? Which one should I play? Whichever one you like. If you're a fan of Battlefield, if you're a fan of Call of Duty, choose the one you like. Because for better and worse, they're Battlefield and Call of Duty games. Whether you want the more, maybe not realistic, but closer to realistic, military shooter that's clearly meant to be more grounded in the way it plays and the way maybe some people might want to play the game and everything. Battlefield, is Battlefield. And, if someone just wants that crack shooter arcade, just boom, boom, get in the fight, all that other stuff. Call of Duty is, for better or for worse, Call of Duty. But let's go ahead and get into my thoughts, overall on both games. Not my thoughts overall, but why I would prefer one over the other. So obviously, I have my reviews out on the channel for Battlefield 6 and Call of Duty. And, recap, Battlefield 6 is good. You want to play Battlefield 6, I recommend it. Call of Duty is Call of Duty. If you want to play it, I recommend it. So, let's go into my preferences for 3 different subjects. Or maybe not even 3. It might mainly be 2, but we'll get into that. So, we'll start with the campaign. Now, these military shooters, people don't really play them for the campaigns, obviously. Call of Duty has famously always had, a very, very low percentage of players play the campaigns. Battlefield 6, people want campaigns, or Battlefield in general, have wanted campaigns from them and all this stuff. And even Battlefield 5 and 1, or 1 and then 5, had the war stories. So they had something, but not a true campaign. But their campaigns aren't always the best. And that kind of rings true for this year in the way the campaign was for Battlefield 6. It's a very not bare bones, but very by the numbers, just military. Oh, we got to stop the, private military corporation. A lot more, games have done similar stuff. But yeah, it's a very just by the numbers. Stop the, private military corporation that wants to basically take over the world, this and that. And, the gameplay is fun. It is Battlefield. Again, it's Battlefield. Plays very great. But yeah, none of the characters are memorable. A lot of, just dialogue that's just oh yeah, you could hear that in any action, military, shooter, movie, show, whatever it is. And I think that first campaign level that they have in the BF6 campaign, it's just it's very misleading. It does the whole, oh, action explosions everywhere thing, and then the rest of the campaign is just kind of there, and you go through it until basically the last mission, which kind of has that a little bit too. But, they got their tank mission, and they have the game looks good, obviously, so they try, in the campaign, it clearly, like, yeah, here's some good looking stuff, the water, cities, all that stuff. But yeah, and then with the Call of Duty campaign, Black Ops 7's campaign is not Call of Duty. This year's COD campaign is very just, it seems like it should have been for, like, it was supposed to be a Destiny campaign or something. The way it's structured, with like going through a level, and then you fight a boss at the end, like a strike mission in Destiny. It's very different, but I wouldn't say it's bad either. Like a lot of the internet says, I wouldn't say it's a bad campaign. The story's forgettable once again, just like the BF6 campaign. They try to do their, like, it's another basically private military corporation trying to take over the world thing. You're going to see a lot of those most likely in the coming years, even though we've had a few over the years. But it does the premise of this one is that, like, the main character and his squad are affected by, this hallucinogenic gas called the Cradle, and that's basically how it's set up, that, like, you see, when you fight zombies and monsters and fight big versions of characters and things like that, or dead characters, why they're there. And again, it's Call of Duty. It plays like Call of Duty, and it's competent in its shooting. It looks good for, Call of Duty's never looked like the greatest games around. Obviously, Battlefield 6 looks way better than Black Ops 7, but yeah, when it comes to these games, I wouldn't, maybe campaign would not be what you want to use as which game you want to play. So, take of that what you will. If that's what you're feeling, playing a campaign for either the Black Ops 7 campaign or the Battlefield 6 campaign. But let's get into basically the meat and potatoes of this, this discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the multiplayer. And again, that comes down to your choice. Battlefield 6 is Battlefield. It's that really good, really good sound, really good feel, all that, with the destructibility. I've said, and like I said in my review, I wish the destructibility was a little bit more of the way Bad Company 2 was. But I know we're never going to get that kind of, that level of destruction, because they do have a lot of maps. Well, not a lot of maps, but they have maps in entire cities. You kind of can't do that, where it's like, buildings are going to get blown up left and right, and then eventually there's just nothing left. You have to have cover and everything. Obviously, too, it's for gameplay purposes. You want to have sniper nests and all this other stuff. If you just have a flat playing field after a while, yeah, won't be the best. And then Call of Duty is, again, it's that crackhead shooter that you know and love, for better or for worse or whatever. Again, it plays really well. Luckily no like issues this year like we've had in previous Call of Duties, where server issues were just kind of pretty bad. And they got rid of the skill-based matchmaking, so if that was something that you did not like, there you go. Yeah, then you have the extra modes. Like, Call of Duty has the zombies. It's got the Dead Ops arcade. This year's campaign is co-op, so yeah. There's also an extra mode, or not an extra mode, but they also basically brought back that DMZ mode from the Warzone as like just an extra mode after the campaign. that's like still part of the campaign. Maybe that's how they want to keep going with the story, I guess. That's what it seems like. It's called Endgame, so there's that. No real other side modes or extra modes in Battlefield 6. Now, they did basically do what Call of Duty is doing now with adding a battle royale to the game, but it's not actually still part of the game, even though it is part of the game. It's its own separate thing still at the same time, where you could download it and it's free to play and all. It's called Battlefield RedSec. And the battle royale, and it's good, but it does kind of feel like the Warzone battle royale in a bit, and it also plays a little similar in how you can do missions and all that stuff. Although instead of giving you money to go buy things like Warzone does, it's just you do the mission, and then when you complete the mission, it gives you items and better gear and all that stuff. So there is an incentive to do the missions if you want to get better stuff and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the battle royales are the battle royales, and I hesitate to really just add them in as part of this, because again, even though they are part of the games, they also are their own things that you could just download and play on their own. So yeah, I mean, for me, my preference is whatever I'm feeling. If I want to play a more grounded shooter, I'll go with Battlefield 6. Probably what most likely my friends will always want to play. If I feel like I just want to play by myself and just play something where I could play a few matches and everything is just going quickly, I'll probably play Call of Duty, which most likely I might play more. So maybe in the end, I kind of prefer Call of Duty, just in that I can go in and play for like a half hour and then I'm good. Whereas if I play Battlefield, those matches can take like a half hour. So if you feel like playing one match, there's that. But yeah, I know, this is supposed to be like a debate, or a discussion about which is better, which is preferred. But honestly, this isn't like my video where I clearly, of Digimon versus Pokemon for this year, where clearly Digimon was just the far and above better game and all that stuff, especially with Legends ZA being so disappointing and, just needing to be better, and Digimon doing everything it could to clearly be just a good game. Whereas like these companies made their games, again, for better or worse, but they made their games. And they didn't try to do this. They didn't try to maybe DICE try, or I guess they're called Battlefield Studios now, did try to make a good game to compete with Call of Duty, because obviously they are, Call of Duty is its main competitor, but they had that in the back of their mind, like, we got to be better than Call of Duty this year, which would make sense. You want to be the game that everyone chooses, whereas I don't think Treyarch, Raven, and all that made their game with Battlefield in the back of their mind, which, I mean, maybe they should have, because sales have not been great apparently for Black Ops 7 this year, which, I mean, like, after a certain point, like, these games release every year, like, every fucking year, like, that's the thing. And then, like, for certain things, yes, the internet is a small vocal minority, but also, the internet is still has enough power to influence enough people at certain points, especially if it's very strong, to change certain things. And I think Call of Duty just releasing a new game and it not being like this awesome game right out the bat that everyone loves, because it is Call of Duty, there's going to be a certain level of hate, which I think it's forced. Like, that's the other thing. Like, this year's hate for Call of Duty, I think, is even more forced than normal. You know, again, if you don't like Call of Duty, you know, that's fine. Like, it's not your cup of tea. It's not for you. It's not, you know, you don't have to like every game. You know, just the same way as if you don't like Battlefield 6 this year, or just in general, you don't like Battlefield, and that's okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like every game. You just, you know, like what you like, play what you play. But also at the same time, I do think, again, like I'm saying, I think this year's hate for Call of Duty is just way too forced, even more so because of specifically the campaign. Saying how it's shit, it's bad, it's this, and that. And it's not. It's not a bad campaign. Is it a Call of Duty campaign? No. Is it like this amazing campaign? No. Again, the story is just kind of there. It's, you know, it's, you can play it without listening to it, basically. So yeah, I don't know. In the end, again, it's your choice. Do you prefer Call of Duty? Do you prefer Battlefield? So, and I just think if whatever game you choose, you're not going to be disappointed. You're going to be able to have your game, play it for however long you play it. I just hope that next year's Call of Duty is better than this year's, campaign-wise, because I would prefer a more traditional campaign, which, not even that I would prefer a more traditional campaign, it's just, I wish they would have just went with just a straight-up, right, like, not try to do anything too different, because for me, the Black Ops campaigns were always the better campaigns, and, you know, them trying to do something different just didn't work this year. I understand you maybe have to do something different every so often because, you know, if you do the same thing every year, or it's always basically the same, nobody's going to want it. But, you know, it does feel like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing for Call of Duty. Whereas if they would have just went with a normal campaign, people would have been like, they need to do something different. They did something different. People are like, why did they do something different? You know, it is what it is. All right, we're going to go ahead and end it right there, though, because I've been rambling for 17 minutes now, apparently. All right. Again, you like what I do on this channel, you like my podcast, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification icon, all that good shit. Do the things. I have been Everett, and until next time, I'll catch you later.